Good morning to everyone. Welcome to my podcast once again. I'm your host, Alan Ang, and for today, we will be talking about GMOs. First of all, I want to share my appreciation for the previous talk that they had, which they talk about the pink pineapple. And I just want to say that the podcast is really interesting to listen, mainly because it is a great idea to produce and research new ways for crops to have more benefits for the consumer. And as for this GMO, it is really surprising to see that the pineapple turned into a pink one instead of a yellow, which is because of the small enzyme that they modified. Now let us move on from that. So before we talk about the GMO that we will be discussing today, I would like to introduce first our guests for today's podcast, who are Dr. Brent and Dr. Ronan Lacson. Welcome to this podcast, Dr. Brent and Ronan. Can you guys first introduce yourself for the audience to have an idea on who you guys are?
Greetings, audience. I'm Dr. Ronan Lacson. I graduated from Oxford University and I have been studying molecular biology for over 8 years. I'm also currently teaching biology in Oxford for over 3 years now.
And I am Dr. Brent Howe. I graduated from Harvard University with a PhD in molecular biology.
Thank you for that. And it is really nice to meet people from Oxford and Harvard University. So we all know that these GMOs, or the so-called genetically modified organisms, is very relevant because the main idea on this would be to combine plants, animals, and especially for crops where GMOs would subject to improve an object for greater use. So can you guys start off with a brief introduction on what our GMO for today would be?
So, what we are addressing nowadays are the sufferers of malnutrition in the global south would soon find help from an unlikely source. A humble potato genetically tweaked to provide a substantial dose of vitamins A and E, which are both crucial nutrients for health. Dubbed the golden potato, boosted levels of provitamin A carotenoids, which are found naturally in carrots and sweet potatoes, give the new tuber its yellow-orange flesh and are converted into vitamin A by digestive enzymes when eaten.
So basically, you guys are focusing on improving potatoes, right? And it is named as the golden potato. So this improvement focuses on the substantial doses of vitamins A and E, which are both crucial for health. And I just want to ask now on what are the benefits of improving vitamins A and E by the golden potatoes.
Let me start off with vitamin A. So the benefits of this would be the vitamin A can lead to having an effect of preventing blindness, which is good for the eyes, and this is also the key for growth, immunity, organ development, and most importantly on reproductive health. As for vitamin E, this protects against the stress and inflammation that one has, and these vitamins are associated with the recovery from the nerves, muscle, vision, and the immune system. When it comes to the golden potato, a single serving of this can provide up to 42% of a child's daily intake of vitamin A, whereas for vitamin E, this could provide up to 34% of their daily intake.
Wow, this golden potato is really interesting to look at. So you mentioned that this potato would really provide children their recommended daily intake of vitamins A and E. Where aside from the children as the main subject of the golden potato, what about the other people? Or how would this address food security for everyone who are in need?
So not only will this benefit the people, but this will also help the farmers by having a potato grow with less water, energy, and pesticides, which also has the benefit of being environmentally sustainable. Just to add up, the farmers that benefits them from their crops are designed to resist diseases and viruses, which this will not only increase the population, but this will also increase their incomes, which will help them shift out of poverty. Potatoes are a vital part of the global food system, where, as mentioned a while ago, this would contain copious amounts of vitamin A and E, which this will really provide a great benefit to those people who are in need.
I certainly agree with you, no? And that this will really benefit the farmers as they are the ones who will produce these. Which a question came into my mind that usually a GMO is composed of two genes that comes from two or more different species, and I want to ask on what are the genes that you guys use in this potato.
Well, as for our case, the potato is a mix between two different genes since these types of crops have no natural occurring gene for vitamin A, unlike maize and cassava, who can be enriched with beta carotene using traditional breeding techniques. The golden potato has to be transgenically inserted, and these were engineered using the technique called biofortification, where this method has been proven itself with the golden rice and maize which the golden potato is the third crop to join this, and it is always in need that there would be a level of technology that is necessary for this enrichment that would always depend on the crop itself.
It's surprisingly to see that there were no naturally occurring genes in vitamin A, and I heard that you saying that the term beta carotene is beta carotene a scientific term for vitamin A? Can you elaborate more on this? And how about for vitamin E? Does this have any genes that will provide on the golden potato?
Well, beta carotene is a red pigment found in plants and fruits, which beta carotene in itself is not an essential nutrient, but vitamin A is. So the human body converts beta carotene into vitamin A, which is also known as retinol, and we need vitamin A for healthy skin and mucous membranes, our immune system, and good eye health and vision. The main goal of this work was to examine the provitamin A availability, while for the genes in vitamin E, the finding of the availability and a high content of this would be unexpected and a pleasant surprise.
And I see. So this really focused on the vitamin A, right? So where did this golden potato originally grow from? Where did this originated?
Golden potato originally came from Italy, and from there it was grown in one of their labs. From there, we have given the go signal for Ohio State University to research and study about it, as well as growing their own golden potatoes in order to be able to make the GMO more accessible to countries that want a better alternative to the standard potato.
I've been hearing some like health hazards from other GMOs. So I wanted to ask, what are the health hazards of this golden potato?
Well, genetically engineered foods is a relatively new practice, which means the long-term effects on safety are not yet clear. And unfortunately, most GMO potatoes end up as unlabeled foods that are indistinguishable from normal foods. Consumer groups would have to carry out PCR tests to determine if certain products, including fries and chips, contain or lack the GMO material. So this can be a hassle, no? Lastly, the golden potatoes contains an antifungal protein that allergic can be an allergic trigger can be allergic trigger can trigger an allergic reaction for some people.
It makes sense that the long-term effects are still undecided yet, mainly because these methods that you are doing are relatively new to scientists. And aside from the health hazards of this, what are the advantages and disadvantages of the GMO compared to the standard potato? Like, what are their differences from each other?
As I've stated earlier, all the benefits of the golden potato, and to add on what Brent said earlier, another disadvantage to crops like the golden potato is the fact that vitamin A is fat soluble, meaning we can only absorb if it comes with enough dietary fat. As vitamin A deficiency often affects people with a generally poor diet, this is by no means assured.
Okay, thank you for that. Now, for my last question for this podcast, and this is a very important question for this GMO. So, how do you see this golden potato in the future dealing with food security?
After solving the disadvantages of the crop, like the triggering of allergies, we see this potato to be sold in every supermarket throughout the world in a cheaper price compared to normal potatoes that are being sold nowadays.
Thank you for that, Dr. Brent. Now, it's very interesting that this golden potato has really a big opportunity in the upcoming future. And we hope that not only this GMO, but also the other GMOs will help in addressing the problem of food security. I cannot wait to see your golden potatoes in the market in the near future, and I wish you good luck on the upcoming challenges that you guys will face. Also, I cannot wait to try this out mainly because I'm very curious on what this product is all about. Now, that's all for our time for today's episode. I want to thank you, Dr. Brent, and Dr. Ronan here for joining us today for our podcast. And I want to pass the floor to the next podcast who will be showcasing the golden rice as a GMO. Now, this is Alan once again as your host, and I'll be seeing you next time.